AITA for refusing to fund my cousin's honeymoon? My name is Madeline, and I'm 30 years old. My cousin, Harley, who is 32, recently married her longtime fiancée, Amaya. Harley and I practically grew up like sisters. When we were younger, we were inseparable, sharing secrets and dreams late into the night. But as adults, things changed. Harley has always been bold and outspoken, while I've always been quieter and more reserved. Somewhere along the line, her boldness turned into dominance, and conversations with her often feel like battles I never signed up for. When Harley asked me to be a bridesmaid, I hesitated for a moment, but I eventually agreed. I wanted to support her and be there for her special day, even if our relationship had been rocky at times. I went all in to help. I paid for an expensive bridesmaid dress she had picked out without consulting anyone, helped organize her bridal shower, and even used my vacation days from work to be available for last-minute wedding errands. My husband, Zoe, who is 33, supported me every step of the way. He helped me with planning, went with me to rehearsals, and kept reminding me that it was just one day and worth the stress to keep family harmony. The wedding day started beautifully. The venue was stunning, decorated with strings of lights and soft flowers. Everyone seemed happy, and for the first time in weeks, I felt genuinely glad to see Harley so excited. Zoe looked handsome in his suit, and I remember holding his hand and thinking, maybe all this stress will be worth it after today. Then came the speeches. Harley grabbed the microphone with a big grin, clearly in her element. She started making lighthearted jokes about family members, and at first, everyone laughed along. It was typical Harley, a little bold, a little sharp, but mostly harmless. Then her tone shifted, and she turned her attention to Zoe. With a mischievous smile, she said loudly, "Let's all raise a glass to Zoe, who finally got a real job after years of figuring things out." We were all starting to wonder if Madeline would be stuck supporting him forever. The crowd laughed, but my stomach dropped. Zoe had gone through a long, painful stretch of unemployment years ago. He had worked himself to the bone to rebuild his career and reputation. That joke wasn't just cruel. It reopened a wound he had spent years trying to heal. I barely had time to process before Harley went further. She smirked and added, "Oh, and let's not forget how these two had to go through marriage counseling to survive. Look at them now, stronger than ever. A real testament to resilience, folks." The entire room went silent for a few seconds. Only a handful of close family members knew about our counseling sessions. We'd worked through deeply personal issues together, and it wasn't something we ever wanted to be public. Zoe's face turned pale. Then, like nothing had happened, Harley laughed and yelled, "But hey, all is well that ends well, right? Let's toast to these two being unstoppable." People clapped awkwardly, unsure how to react. I sat there frozen, my hands trembling. Zoe forced a tight smile, but I could see the pain in his eyes. My heart ached for him. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. I went through the motions, smiling for photos, chatting with relatives, but my mind was fixated on Harley's words. Zoe barely spoke during the drive home. When we finally walked into our house, he sat down heavily on the couch and buried his face in his hands. "I've never felt so humiliated in my life," he whispered. She exposed me. Us, in front of everyone. Hearing the tremor in his voice broke me. I hugged him tightly and apologized, even though it wasn't my fault. The next day, I texted Harley to explain how hurtful her speech had been. Her reply was short and dismissive. "Oh, come on, Mads. It was just a joke. Everyone knows I tease out of love. Don't be so sensitive." Sensitive. That word echoed in my head for days. Weeks passed, and things began to spiral. Harley started dropping hints in our family group chat about how she and Amaya couldn't afford a honeymoon. At first, I thought she was just venting about finances, but then her messages became more pointed. One day, she tagged me directly and wrote, "Some people really know how to step up for family, right, Madeline?" I was shocked. I didn't respond, hoping she'd drop it. Instead, she escalated. She began making passive-aggressive comments during family phone calls, sighing loudly and saying things like, "Well, not everyone believes in supporting newlyweds, I guess." Then, out of the blue, she called me. "Hey, so I'm just gonna come right out and ask," she said, her tone overly sweet. "Would you and Zoe be willing to gift us $3,000 for our honeymoon? We want to go to Italy for 2 weeks, and it would mean the world to us." I was stunned into silence for a moment. "Harley, that's a lot of money. Zoe and I already spent so much helping with the wedding. And honestly, after what happened with your speech, things are still really raw for us." The sweetness in her voice evaporated. "Are you serious right now? You're really going to ruin my first months of marriage over some tiny joke? I didn't mean anything by it. You're being petty, Madeline." "I'm not being petty," I said firmly. "Zoe was deeply hurt, and we can't just hand over thousands of dollars $100 like it's nothing. Harley scoffed. Unbelievable. You know what? Forget it. I'll remember this, though. And she hung up. The next day, I received a long Facebook message from Amaya. It read, Madeline, Harley is really upset. This trip has been her dream for years. It's sad to see you holding a grudge over something so small. You and Zoe are doing well financially. It's just money. Family should help each other. Please think about what this means to her. I stared at the message, shaking with anger. It wasn't just the request. It was the guilt trip, the implication that we were being selfish for saying no. Later, my mom called me. She sighed heavily before speaking. Madeline, maybe you should just give her the money. It's not worth tearing the family apart. You know how Harley is. She's been telling everyone you're cold and selfish. I felt like the room was spinning. Even my mom was siding with her. Zoe, on the other hand, was livid. If you give her that money, he said, you're telling her that my feelings don't matter. She humiliated me in front of everyone, and now she thinks she can get rewarded for it? No, absolutely not. I felt torn in two. Part of me wanted to keep the peace. Another part of me knew Zoe was right. Things got even more tense when Harley started texting other family members privately, painting herself as the victim. My phone blew up with messages from relatives asking why I was being so harsh and holding a grudge. It felt like a smear campaign. One evening, Zoe and I hosted my parents for dinner. My dad stayed quiet, but my mom couldn't stop bringing up Harley. Madeline, she said, Harley is family. She was there for you when you and Zoe were struggling. Don't you think you owe her this? Zoe slammed his fork down. With all due respect, she wasn't there for us, Mrs. Whitaker. She mocked us in front of a room full of people. That's not support, that's cruelty. The room fell silent. My mom's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't respond. The days that followed were filled with tension and constant phone notifications. Harley sent me angry texts accusing me of jealousy. You've always been jealous of me, one message read. You can't stand to see me happy. That's why you're doing this. I stared at the words, my hands trembling. Jealousy? That wasn't even remotely true. At this point, Zoe barely wanted to attend family gatherings. He felt like Harley had turned everyone against us, and honestly, he wasn't wrong. I started dreading every call, every text, every family event. Finally, I sent Harley one last message. Harley, we love you, but we're done being guilt-tripped and manipulated. We cannot give you money, and we won't continue to engage in this drama. If you want to repair our relationship, it starts with an apology to Zoe and to me. Her reply came within seconds. Wow, just wow. Don't worry, Madeline. We'll remember who was there for us and who wasn't. After that, she went silent. I don't know what will happen next. All I know is that Zoe and I are standing firm. A few days after my original post, everything spiraled in a way I never expected. At first, things were quiet, almost too quiet. Harley hadn't messaged me directly since our last heated conversation, and I naively thought maybe she had finally decided to cool off. But then, early one morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. When I looked, my stomach dropped. Harley had posted a long, dramatic Facebook status about family betrayal. She didn't name me or Zoe outright, but it was painfully obvious who she meant. She wrote, it's heartbreaking when the people you've supported your whole life turn their backs on you in your moment of need. Some people care more about grudges than love. Some people care more about being right than being family. I guess when you shine too bright, there will always be those trying to dim your light. The comments were pouring in. Half of our extended family and even some mutual friends were chiming in with things like, you don't deserve this, Harley, and stay strong, queen. A few were more cautious, asking what exactly had happened, but Harley ignored those and kept liking the dramatic supportive comments. By noon, my inbox was flooded with private messages. Some relatives scolded me, accusing me of being selfish and cruel. Others just asked what happened, clearly confused by Harley's vague post. One even outright called me jealous and said, you've always been jealous of Harley's big personality and success. Maybe this is your way of trying to bring her down. I sat there shaking, unable to even form a reply. Zoe, however, was livid. She's manipulating everyone, Mads, he said, pacing the living room. She's trying to rewrite the story so we look like the villains. I'm done sitting quietly while she smears us. I wanted to say something publicly, but Zoe convinced me to stay silent, at least for now. If we get dragged into a public Facebook war, she wins, he said. And he was right, but the silence didn't make me feel any better. Later that evening, something unexpected happened. My aunt, Harley's mom, called me out of the blue. She sounded exhausted, like she'd been crying. Madeline, she said softly, I've had enough of Harley's games. I froze. My aunt has always been Harley's biggest supporter, no matter what. She went on to explain that she had seen Harley's post and was deeply embarrassed. She thrives on drama, my aunt said. And this whole honeymoon thing, it's not even about money. She and Amaya already went on a weekend getaway right after the wedding. They stayed at a luxury resort 2 hours away. away, but she didn't post much about it because she said it wasn't Instagram worthy. Now she wants a second, more extravagant trip to Italy so she can post pictures and make everyone jealous. My jaw dropped. Wait, so she's not even struggling financially? No, my aunt said firmly. She just wants attention, and she's using you as a scapegoat to play the victim. Don't give her a single penny, Madeline. It will never be enough. If you give her $3,000 now, she'll ask for more next time. Her words brought a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. It felt good to finally have someone on my side, but it also hurt to know Harley was deliberately manipulating me. A few nights later, things took another dark turn. Zoe was sitting on the couch when his phone buzzed. It was a text from Harley. I watched his expression harden as he read it. She's not apologizing, he said grimly. She's blaming me. The message said, "You've been jealous of me for years, Zoe. Don't think I don't see it. You've always wanted to keep Madeline and me apart because you know our bond is stronger than anything you'll ever have with her. You're poisoning her against me." Zoe's hands trembled slightly, but his voice was calm as he typed back. "Harley, this isn't about jealousy. It's about respect. You humiliated me and Madeline in front of everyone at your wedding. Instead of apologizing, you doubled down and turned it into a campaign against us. This ends now. Stop involving me and stop dragging Madeline through this mess." He hit send and set his phone down with finality. The next morning, Harley's response was clear. She blocked both of us on Facebook and Instagram. For a brief moment, Zoe and I felt a flicker of peace. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of the end of the drama. We were wrong. Later that week, my mom called me in a shaky voice. "Madeline," she said, "Harley and Amaya booked their honeymoon anyway. They left yesterday." I blinked in disbelief. "What? With what money?" "I don't know," my mom admitted, "but they're posting pictures already. And, the captions." My mom hesitated before continuing. "They're pointed, very pointed." Sure enough, when I checked Instagram, there they were, Harley and Amaya grinning in front of a beautiful Italian fountain. The caption read, "Some people come through for you when others won't. Grateful for the ones who truly love us." Every single post after that seemed like a direct jab at Zoe and me. Photos of expensive meals, scenic views, and Harley posing dramatically with captions like, "Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not those who tear you down, and negativity has no place here. Love wins." The comments were full of people praising them and indirectly criticizing me. The tension reached a breaking point when my mom finally confessed the truth. "I was wrong to pressure you," she admitted tearfully over the phone. "I see now that Harley just wanted to manipulate you. She's been telling everyone lies about you and Zoe. I should have defended you from the start. I'm so sorry, Madeline." I wanted to forgive her, but the damage had been done. Harley's narrative had already spread through our entire extended family. Even distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years were messaging me, demanding to know why I was so bitter. Zoe, meanwhile, had completely checked out of family events. He refused to attend a recent birthday party for my nephew, saying, "I can't keep walking into rooms where I'm the villain in Harley's story." I went alone, and it was a disaster. Harley wasn't there, but everyone else clearly had opinions. One cousin cornered me in the kitchen and said, "You know, Harley was just joking at the wedding. Maybe you and Zoe need to lighten up. Family's all about forgiveness." I barely held back tears as I excused myself and left early. When Harley and Amaya finally returned from their honeymoon, they didn't reach out to me directly. Instead, Harley posted one last photo, her and Amaya holding wine glasses, overlooking a sunset. The caption read, "Living our best life without negativity. Some ties are meant to be broken." That was the final nail in the coffin. I didn't comment. I didn't even linger on the photo. I simply closed the app and turned my phone off. That night, Zoe and I sat on our porch, holding hands. "I don't think this relationship can be fixed," I admitted quietly. Zoe squeezed my hand. "Maybe it's not meant to be. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away." It hurt to hear, but he was right. Harley wasn't interested in reconciliation, only in winning. The next morning, I blocked her number, her social media accounts, and even muted certain relatives who kept stirring the pot. My heart felt heavy, but also lighter than it had in weeks. For the first time in months, Zoe and I made breakfast together without our phones buzzing with drama. We talked about our future, our plans, and the baby we hope to try for next year. The storm isn't completely over. I know Harley will keep spinning her narrative to anyone who listens. But for us, the fight is over. You are not the AITA because your actions demonstrate care, restraint, and loyalty. You invested time, money, and emotional labor into Harley's wedding. You endured ridicule, tolerated manipulation, and shouldered the weight of family tension without retaliating. Protecting Zoe's dignity and refusing unreasonable demands was not selfish. It was an act of integrity. Drawing a financial boundary after such public humiliation was justified, not petty. No partner should be expected to sacrifice self-respect for the sake of keeping peace. You are the AITA because silence sometimes stretched too long. By letting Harley's remarks pass unchallenged in real time, you indirectly gave her room to escalate. Each dismissal, the "it's just a joke," the guilt trips, the group chat barbs, gained traction because your responses were delayed or muted. That hesitation made her believe she could press further without consequence. Your attempt to preserve harmony allowed a cycle of disrespect to snowball. My insight: Harley thrives on audience validation. She measures her worth not through genuine intimacy, but through performance. The spotlight fuels her, and anyone who refuses to clap becomes a villain in her script. Your refusal to fund her dream trip shifted you from supporting character to obstacle, which is why her narrative now paints you as jealous, cold, and selfish. Another perspective: Harley's cruelty was not impulsive but strategic. Jokes about Zoe's career and counseling were designed to strip you of privacy, weaken your stance, and remind the family that she holds the microphone. It was less about humor and more about dominance, a public declaration that she can expose you at will. My suggestion: reduce your exposure to her stage. That means declining invitations where you know she will dominate, filtering what information she can access, and disengaging from her digital theatrics. Energy is a currency, and Harley's tactics are designed to drain it. Guard your reserves for people who nourish rather than deplete. Another suggestion: keep building strength with Zoe. Family fractures can isolate couples, but shared resilience can also deepen bonds. Let Harley's campaign remind you both that your partnership is built on truth, not applause. Prioritize creating new traditions that reinforce joy, whether through travel, shared projects, or the possibility of parenthood. Now for joke. Imagine if weddings required a comedy permit. Before grabbing a microphone, every speaker would need to submit their jokes for review. If a line risks triggering trauma or exposing therapy sessions, the microphone would automatically cut off, replaced with elevator music. Harley's monologue would have ended halfway through her first dig, sparing the evening. Final thought: you are not the AITA for defending boundaries, but you are the AITA in the sense that delayed confrontation allowed Harley's drama to flourish. Both can be true, but neither erases your dignity. Sometimes family demands conformity at the expense of self-respect, but saying no is not betrayal. It is survival. Harley may spin her version of the story forever, but your reality stands stronger. You protected your partner, your privacy, and your peace. And that choice, even if branded selfish, is what preserves love. Before we jump into the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know your favorite part in the comments.
ATA for refusing to help my sister-in-law after she disrespected me. My name is Elena, and I'm 34. My sister-in-law, Emiliana, is 33. She has a history of being manipulative and talking badly about me behind my back, calling me names I won't repeat. Over the years, I've tried to ignore it, tried to convince myself it was better to let small slights slide. But every time I smiled at a family gathering while Emiliana whispered to others, something inside me tightened. Her words left a slow, gnawing ache, and I could never fully relax around her. A few weeks ago, Emiliana's mother, my mother-in-law, called Derek and me. Her tone was urgent, almost pleading. She explained that Emiliana needed a recommendation to get accepted into a prestigious graduate program in healthcare administration. According to her, missing this opportunity could set Emiliana back a year, and at her age, it could be her last realistic chance to enter the program. Part of me wanted to help. Education matters to me. I value it, and I understand the doors it can open. But every fiber of my being screamed no. How could I put my credibility on the line for someone who had spent years undermining me, mocking me, and spreading lies to our family? I felt trapped, cornered, and intensely frustrated. It wasn't just a moral decision. It was about protecting myself, my dignity, and my marriage. I decided to be honest. I told my mother-in-law over the phone, keeping my voice calm despite the knot in my stomach. I'm sorry, I can't support her application. Emiliana has treated me poorly for years, and I don't feel comfortable putting my credibility on the line for her. The silence that followed was suffocating. My mother-in-law finally sighed heavily, the kind of sigh that carries disappointment, frustration, and a hint of exasperation all at once. Elena, you're being dramatic. Family is supposed to help each other. Think about how this will reflect on you in the family, she said. I felt guilt and relief intertwine. Guilt because I longed for family peace, for everyone to like me and to avoid conflict. Relief because I had finally drawn a line. For the first time in years, I wasn't bending to someone else's manipulations. The next day, Emiliana called me directly on WhatsApp. The sound of her voice made my chest tighten instantly. It was sharp, accusatory, demanding attention. Are you really going to do this? You're going to ruin me, Elena. After everything I've done for this family, I forced myself to stay calm. I didn't raise my voice, though part of me wanted to yell. I'm not trying to ruin you. I just can't support you after how you've treated me. I hope you understand this is about respect. Her laughter was bitter. Then she hung up. I could feel my hands tremble and my chest chest constrict as a mix of anger and sadness twisted inside me. That evening, my phone erupted with notifications from the extended family group chat. Messages piled up like a landslide. Some were scolding, calling me selfish and cruel. Others quietly asked for my side. I didn't respond. Derek held me as I cried, whispering reassurances that I had done nothing wrong. He was steady, calm, and his presence anchored me amidst the storm. Over the next week, Emiliana escalated her efforts. She began tagging me in posts on social media, writing vague but pointed messages like, "Some people only care about themselves when it counts." Each notification felt like a jolt. My stomach turned. My hands shook each time my phone buzzed. I resisted replying. I could feel her watching me, trying to bait me into a reaction. Derek reminded me that silence was a shield, and I clung to that. Then came the desperate messages. A week later, I received a WhatsApp text from Emiliana. It was frantic. "Elena, please. I'm begging you. Just one small recommendation. I need this. I don't know what else to do." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Every instinct told me to reply angrily, to let her know exactly what I thought about her manipulation and deceit. But I took a deep breath. I typed carefully, "Emiliana, I understand this is important to you, but I cannot. I've explained my reasons. I hope you find someone else who can help." She didn't reply. The next morning, I saw on Facebook that she had posted her acceptance letter to the program. My first thought was a mix of shock and curiosity. Who had helped her if it wasn't me? My phone rang. Derek's name appeared. "You're not going to believe this," he said. Emiliana asked her friend, Noelle, who works in admissions, to write the recommendation instead. She got in. I felt a storm of emotions, relief, anger, and an unexpected thrill of quiet satisfaction. I hadn't given in, and yet she had succeeded. But the victory wasn't mine. It wasn't about winning. It was about surviving manipulation and holding my ground. Later that evening, Emiliana sent a single WhatsApp message. "You think you won, but you've only made enemies of yourself in this family. Don't forget that." I didn't respond. I blocked her on all social media and went for a long walk with Derek. The night was cool and still. I felt the weight on my chest start to lift slightly. For the first time in years, I had a sense of control, a fragment of peace. Some relatives were still upset, yes. Some whispered behind my back, questioning my motives. But many had respect for me. They understood the courage it took to stand up to Emiliana. Slowly, I realized that protecting myself could coexist with family relationships, even if those relationships were strained. But Emiliana wasn't done. Messages began surfacing again. Private tags, indirect jabs, comments on photos of Derek and me with subtle digs. I ignored them, choosing to focus on what I could control: my life, my marriage, and my mental health. I no longer responded to provocations. Each message she sent was a test, and I refused to take it. Days passed, then weeks. Emiliana tried different tactics, pleading, guilt-tripping, and even hinting that Derek was forcing me to deny her. I watched her unravel online, making more public displays of distress while I stayed quietly out of the fray. Derek supported me every step of the way, reminding me that no family drama could undo the boundary I had set. Finally, Emiliana posted pictures of her first day in the program, smiling widely, exuding triumph. The caption read, "Nothing can stop me, even when some family members fail to see my worth." Comments flooded in, some congratulatory, some subtly accusatory. I didn't look twice. I had no need to. Her success wasn't mine to celebrate, nor was it mine to ruin. A few days after Emiliana posted her acceptance news, the tension in the family exploded. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages poured in on WhatsApp from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Some were carefully worded, almost polite, probing me with questions like, "Elena, why didn't you help her? She's your sister-in-law." Others were sharp, accusatory, blunt. "You're selfish. How could you let her struggle like that?" Each ping felt like a jolt, a reminder that the storm I had tried to avoid was now unavoidable. My chest ached, my head spun, and even Derek, normally calm, could see how exhausted I was. Derek tried to anchor me. "Ignore them. You made the right choice. She disrespected you for years," he said, squeezing my hand. But the messages kept coming, relentless, and the stress pressed on me like a heavy weight. I felt trapped, caught between doing what was right for myself and fearing that the rest of the family would see me as the villain. That evening, Emiliana called. Her tone was icy, sharp, almost taunting. I let it ring, then texted her, "If you want to talk, do it respectfully." She replied instantly, "Respectful? You've already ruined me with your refusal refusal. You'll regret this. Her words were venomous. Then she began a barrage of messages, accusing me of manipulating Derek, claiming he only agreed with you because you were scared of confrontation. I could feel my stomach knot with anxiety and anger, but I refused to reply. Later that night, my cousin Sean called me on WhatsApp. He's usually calm, the kind of person who mediates disputes quietly, but tonight he was furious. Emiliana just posted screenshots of your chat with her mother. She's twisting it, making it look like you refused because you're petty and jealous. Everyone's seeing it. You need to respond. My chest tightened, and a wave of panic swept over me. Derek held my hand, steadying me. You don't owe her an explanation. Not anymore, he said. The next morning brought a new wave of chaos. Emiliana had sent another string of messages, tagging multiple family members in a public post. Some people would rather watch others suffer than lend a hand. Replies poured in instantly, people defending her, others criticizing me, some offering vague sympathies while secretly judging me. It felt like being buried alive under a flood of judgment I could not control. I realized I had two choices: stay silent and let the narrative spread unchecked, or confront it. I typed out a message to the family group, hands trembling. I will not be shamed for standing up for myself. Emiliana has treated me with disrespect for years. I tried to maintain boundaries, and I will not apologize for protecting my dignity. I hit send. The reactions were mixed, some supportive, some critical, but for the first time, I felt my voice reach others, unfiltered. Days later, Derek received a call from Emiliana. This time, her tone was desperate, almost pleading. Elena, I didn't mean to hurt you. Please, just a small letter. I'm desperate. I'll make it up to you. I swear I'll change. Derek showed me the messages, jaw tight, and I felt an exhaustion deeper than I had ever known. I stared at the texts for a long time before typing back, I will not. Respect and honesty are not negotiable. This ends here. Emiliana didn't stop. She began a new campaign, spreading rumors that I had forced Derek to block her, tagging other family members, and even sending veiled threats about long-term consequences if I refused to help. I felt cornered, but Derek reminded me, let her play her games. You didn't do anything wrong. This isn't about you. It's about her control. 2 weeks later, I learned that Emiliana had secretly enlisted a distant family friend to write a glowing recommendation. She got into the program. Of course, she posted it on Instagram with the caption, "Nothing can stop me when family isn't supportive, but I rise anyway." The comments poured in, congratulating her, but mixed in were subtle digs at me. I scrolled through them, feeling relief, anger, and a hollow frustration. She had succeeded without me, yet she was still trying to claim moral victory. Then came the final escalation. Emiliana sent me a private WhatsApp voice message, almost whispering, accusing me of betraying the family, saying, "You'll regret the way you've treated me. You've turned everyone against me." I listened, my chest tight, then deleted the message. I refused to engage. The turning point came when Derek and I made a choice together. No more engagement with her manipulations. No more justifications. No more clarifications. No more watching my life be twisted into a spectacle. Our home became our fortress. We limited our social media presence, ignored tagged posts, and refused to respond to any further provocations.
You are not the AITA because protecting your name, reputation, and emotional health was not cruelty but survival. A recommendation is not just a signature, it is a pledge of character. Endorsing Emiliana after years of mockery would have forced you to lie on paper, compromising your integrity and credibility. Declining was not sabotage, it was a refusal to surrender your self-respect. Boundaries are not betrayal, they are shields. In this light, your refusal was honest, measured, and justified. You are the AITA because silence carried its own cost. By withholding your side for so long, you allowed Emiliana's narrative to spread unchallenged. Her whispers, group chat spins, and public innuendos filled a vacuum where your voice might have dismantled her story sooner. Family politics often reward the first storyteller, and your quiet restraint, though dignified, gave her time to weaponize perception. That delay did not make you wrong, but it gave her room to appear right. My insight: Emiliana's tactics reveal someone addicted to control, not recognition. Her pleas, tantrums, and digital performances were never about education. They were about dominance. Getting into the program mattered, but getting your submission mattered more. Your refusal punctured her image, so she retaliated with gossip, screenshots, and shaming. To her, success without your validation felt incomplete, which is why she continued attacking even after her acceptance letter arrived. Another insight: Derek's presence was more than support. It was proof that marriage can withstand family crossfire. His calm steadiness acted like ballast on a ship battered by storms. Without that partnership, you may have folded under the pressure. Emiliana's mistake was assuming she could wedge you apart. Instead, her hostility strengthened your union. My suggestion: never debate in arenas designed for spectacle. Group chats and social media platforms platforms are stages, not courts of fairness. Every reply feeds her script. Instead, channel your energy into one-on-one conversations with relatives who matter, where truth can breathe without the noise of an audience. Not everyone will believe you, but those who listen carefully will see the consistency in your choices. Another suggestion: document. Keep records of her messages, screenshots of her posts, and logs of her harassment. Not because you need them for battle now, but because manipulators thrive on rewriting history. A record ensures that if her games resurface, you hold the receipts. Now for joke. Imagine if family politics worked like job applications. Every sibling or in-law would need to submit a resume for good relative status, with references, performance reviews, and annual evaluations. Emiliana's file would include strengths, persistence, weaknesses, gossip, sabotage. Her probation review would read: improvement required in teamwork and honesty. HR, in this case, the extended family, might reconsider her role altogether. Final thought: you are not the AITA for refusing complicity in her deception. You are the AITA only in the sense that delayed confrontation let her spin unchecked stories. But neither label captures the whole truth. You acted with restraint, drew necessary lines, and defended your dignity. Emiliana may believe she won, but the deeper victory lies in your refusal to be coerced. Family harmony cannot be purchased by sacrificing self-respect. You did not abandon her. You refused to abandon yourself. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments, and let us know which one was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to check out AITA for refusing to care for my special needs sister. Click here to watch it now.